Welcome, let's inspect the crit variant of one of the most popular melee builds for the Invoker. It's a fairly basic Ice Strike Quarterstaff build. This late game version takes advantage of one of the Invoker's passives that causes your critical strikes to ignore enemies' elemental resistances, although reaching a high critical chance is very difficult, much more so than in POE1. At best, you can hope for around 75% crit chance for the Ice Strike, and with over 800% crit multiplier, that's still a major damage boost. Power charges have no inherent bonuses, but you can occasionally consume them via charged staff to improve your attacks. You can also boost your single target damage with a Tempest Bell. It is a peculiar ability that doubles your boss damage as long as you can hit it alongside the main target. With charged staff for added damage and additional shockwaves, the bell will hit with even higher frequency. You will deal mainly cold damage with some lightning damage sourced from Herald of Thunder, added lightning damage, and charged staff. This lets you shock and freeze enemies, even big targets. Now the skill to use here is Ice Strike. It teleports you to the enemy. You're also using Herald of Ice and Herald of Thunder. The former deals mostly lightning damage and the latter, cold damage. This maneuver causes a chain reaction for screen-wide explosions, which results in a great clear speed. Now the durability stems from the mix of a very high evasion and energy shield. We opted for Chaos Inoculation. You can then improve your ES and evasion defensive layers with Invoker's Meditation, Wind Dancer, Grim Feast, or Ghost Dance. To recover ES, allocate Eternal Youth and use the Life Flask. It's a melee build, but one of the fastest due to the Herald's combination and inherent to Ice Strike mobility. It is good against bosses too, thanks to the temporary bonuses from a Bell or Unbound avatar. Its damage is really high, given your weapon has high physical damage. You're very flexible with items, but we would recommend starting as a non-crit variant if you don't have items yet. A good weapon with a high crit chance will be ridiculously expensive. It's a non-Hour version, but it can easily be transformed into one with little to no changes. These gloves are quite likely better than most rares, but may introduce an issue of attributes and resistances. Hand of Wisdom and Action is probably the best choice for gloves in the current state of the game. You don't even need to go out of your way to get more attributes. You still need over 200 dex and 200 int to run this build, which is more than enough to make these gloves good. Rings have a much better mod pool than a belt does. Ingenuity is an expensive item that requires good rings, but you should get it eventually. On your other items, go for resistances, missing attributes, mostly dex or int, and Evasion. Spirit should not be needed at all thanks to Lead Me Through Grace. No unique items are required as well. For bases go for the Evasion and Energy Shield ones, but for the helmet get pure ES base, and as much ES as you can. It gets increased via Subterfuge Mask Notable. It's a Chaos Inoculation build, so you won't need any maximum life or chaos resistance. You're also using 6 or 7 red support gems. Be sure you have enough strength for them, as you won't need it for anything else. Gothic Quarterstaff has the highest base crit chance, making it the best option for a crit build. Slicing or long staves are good for non-crit builds. Seek high physical DPS, increased elemental damage with attacks, attack speed and critical hit modifiers, which are very important if you want to reach high critical hit chance and multiplier. Get the ES helmet with 400 or more energy shield on it. For suffixes, go for resistances, intelligence, or critical hit chance. With gloves, you can go crazy with offensive modifiers like added damage, attack speed, and critical damage bonus. These are luxurious upgrades. First, prioritize resistances and attributes. Boots, here try to get high movement speed, evasion rating, energy shield, resistances, and attributes. Go for Lunar Amulet for maximum ES, Azure Amulet for mana regeneration or some other base for attributes. For prefixes, get maximum energy shield. For suffixes, critical hit modifiers. It's also a good opportunity to obtain attributes, resistances, accuracy, and level of all melee skills. The third strike of Ice Strike scales well with gem level. Rings can roll added damage, but their primary role is providing you with attributes and resistances. One suffix from mana on kill could help you a lot with mana sustain when mapping. The belt is a simple case. There are no useful prefixes, maybe maximum mana or flask modifiers. What you want are resistances, charm slots, and maybe strength all suffixes. Just go for ingenuity if you can. The jacket should have high maximum ES and evasion. These are by far the most important modifiers to seek. For suffixes, get the usual resistance or attribute, maybe both. Ruby jewels can roll rage on hit. Get at least one such jewel. It will generate rage even if you have not deployed the bell yet. Sapphire jewels are a source of maximum energy shield and critical hit mods. Now for the skill gems. Ice Strike is the main damaging ability, a basic attack that deals mostly cold area damage. The last strike in sequence hits the hardest. Link it with Concentrated Effect, Martial Tempo, Ice Bite, Close Combat, and Heft. The skill is supposed to freeze, so don't link it with Elemental Focus. When up against bosses, place a Tempest Bell and hit it to trigger shockwaves, the damage of which is based on your attack damage. The bell does not attack on its own. Link it with Expanse Rage, Font of Mana, and Heavy Swing. Herald of Thunder converts 100% of physical damage to lightning. When you kill a shocked enemy, it stores a lightning bolt that deals lightning attack damage to the next target you hit, but the skill cannot shock on its own. That's why we're trying our best to make it deal cold damage with high chance to freeze, and combo it with Herald of Ice, which deals lightning damage. Link it with Cold Infusion, Lightning Mastery, Glaciation, Longshot, and either Ambush or Shock Siphon. Herald of Ice converts 100% of physical damage to cold. When you kill a frozen enemy, it shatters, dealing AoE cold attack damage. Here we try to make it deal a lot of lightning damage with a high shock chance and cause a chain reaction when combined with Herald of Thunder, because it too cannot shatter enemies that are frozen by the skill itself. Link it with Lightning Infusion, Innovate, Magnified Effect Conduction, and Primal Armament. Charge Staff empowers your weapon with added lightning damage, but also has its own damaging shockwave triggered on hit with Ice Strike. It consumes power charges, which you generate via Combat Frenzy. Link it with Persistence, Cold Exposure, Lightning Exposure, and Strip Away. You should also include Potential if you can for more crit chance. Wind Dancer grants more evasion rating until you're hit with a melee attack. The skill has to regain stages after that. It's a huge buff to evasion, the main defensive layer in this build. Link it with Blind and Maim to blind and maim enemies on hit, that is, if they break the Wind Dancer's buff. Combat Frenzy grants a power charge when you freeze, but you have to allocate the Resonance Keystone or it will generate only Frenzy charges, which are completely useless. Link it with Perfusion and Clarity to gain more charges and regenerate more mana. Ghost Dance is excellent if you have high evasion and use Energy Shield. When hit, it instantly grants ES based on your evasion, but you have to wait 3 or 4 seconds for it to recharge. Link it with Fast Forward. Use this skill when you plan to fight pinnacle bosses. And for mapping, change it for Grim Feast to double your ES. It works only if you kill enemies frequently. The Valley of Titans offers a choice between increased charm charges gained or increased mana recovery from flasks. Select mana recovery at first, but if you have 2 or 3 charm slots, swap the boon. In the first Venom Crypts, we recommend going for an increased mana regeneration rate. Next time you visit crypts, you may want to get extra attributes or reduced potency of slowing debuffs on you. The skill tree has tons of useful passives, so making choices will be tough. Start with general attack damage and attack speed and supplement it with elemental damage, especially of the cold type. Grab evasion and energy shield nodes. Subterfuge Mask and Spectral Ward notables are especially important. Then go for Quarterstaff and Critical Strike nodes for more damage. Nodes near Coming Calamity will reduce the spirit cost of Heralds. You may also want to allocate some nodes to increase your freeze buildup if you struggle to freeze bosses. Your keystones are Resonance, Chaos Inoculation, and Eternal Youth. The Invoker's passives to pick are Lead Me Through Grace first, I Am the Blizzard second. Then you can choose between Meditate for more ES or Unbound Avatar for more damage, and, as your 4th passive, select Sunder My Enemies. That should cover it. Like the video and subscribe to the channel to familiarize yourself with the interesting and popular upcoming builds. See you soon.